J. Everyone. I'm here to talk about my newfound obsession, the web series called The Mirror Room, created by Charlie Mack. These videos are short films starring Jamie Block, who also happens to be one of the producers of the series, along with Charlie. So far, there are 2 installments available to watch right now on YouTube. I know that this series just started, but please subscribe to the channel because they've got more planned and we need to get them hyped so that they will make more. So let's talk about the 2 episodes that we have. Here are the characters that we meet first. Therese JSC, early 30s. Inquisitive, recently moved into a new apartment. There is the mirror woman, ghostly figure. Silent, she seems unsettling. And finally, we meet the landlord. Voiced only, neutral, helpful, but distant. All of this takes place in a modest, old apartment. Specifically, we're going to focus on the living room, a narrow hallway and a small windowless mirror room. Alright, let's start at the beginning. Episodio 1 fade in. Int Jess's apartment evening. Rain patters against the window. Jess sits on the floor unpacking boxers. Cardboard and bubble wrap scatter the living room. A knock at the door. Jess sets down a photo frame and opens it. The landlord stands in the hall, clipboard in hand. The landlord just checking, settling in. Okay, Jess. Yeah, thanks. Place has a lot of character. The landlord, don't forget the little room at the end of the hall. Extra storage. Old mirrors built in, but you can cover it if you like. Jess smiling. No worries. I like old mirrors. The landlord nods. Just keep the door shut at night. Drafty Jess frowns, a bit amused, nodding as the landlord departs. She closes the door. And now we pan over to the landlord in the hallway. He looks down at his clipboard and makes a check mark next to the word mirror. Room, then he walks away. Int. Hallway night. Jess explores. She flips on the overhead light. At the end is a narrow door. She opens it, revealing a cramped room with peeling wallpaper and a large, antique mirror bolted to the wall. Jess's reflection is warped, rippling faintly. She laughs at her funhouse image and closes the door. We next see Jess, asleep in her bedroom. We hear the apartment creaking with old building noises, a faint, rhythmic tapping. Jess stirs. She listens. The sound is coming from the hallway. She gets up, grabs her phone for light, and tiptoes to the hall. She's wearing a tank top and shorts, which is good because she's going to be walking barefoot. She creeps closer to the mirror room, stopping when she hears the tapping again. She places her ear to the door and listens. Then she slowly pushes it open. The mirror gleams in the phone's light. She sees her own reflection in the center, but something's off. The image is a half-beat behind her movement delayed. She waves. The reflection follows, but half a second late. Suddenly, a shadow passes behind the Jess in the mirror. Tall, female, long dark hair. Jess spins around. The room behind her is empty. She steps back, heart racing, and shuts the door. The next morning, we find Jess in her living room, researching old mirrors on her laptop. On screen, portals to the spirit world, capturing souls, harbingers of bad luck. Then a chat notification pops up. Landlord, hope you're settling in. Remember to keep the small room locked at night, Jess shivers. Later that evening, Jess tapes a towel over the mirror and closes the door. She locks it. As night falls, we find Jess lying in bed. Eyes wide open, listening for sounds. Nothing, at first. Then the unmistakable creak of a door opening. Jess sits up, clutching her blanket, and listens. From the hallway comes the sound of footsteps approaching her front door. Jess peeks over the railing. She sees nothing and calls out, "Hello?" When she doesn't receive an answer, she decides to investigate. But before she can, the sound of footsteps returns. Quickly approaching her apartment door, we hear a knock, then the doorknob turning. Jess hides behind her bedroom door. The door opens and we see a pair of feet enter the apartment. The door closes. We hear a floorboard creaking, the sound of a chair being pulled out, and then silence. Jess emerges from behind the door, holding her phone up high. She walks toward the kitchen. She sees that one of her kitchen chairs is out of place and moved from its position against the table. Jess notices a long, dark shadow passing by the doorway. But when she shines her phone's light toward the hall, no one is there. She turns back to the chair. Her phone slips from her grasp and clatters to the floor. Jess screams. Episode 2 begins with a medium shot of the mirror room door. It's ajar and propped open with a shoe. From beneath it, we hear Jess calling out, "Hello." Then she enters the mirror room, her silhouette framed in the doorway. She's holding a baseball bat and approaches the mirror. It's covered with a sheet. Jess pulls it away, revealing the mirror. We see her reflection standing in the middle. The reflection isn't quite right, though the colors are slightly off, the image flickering and wavy. The reflection points to something behind Jess. She turns. We see a pair of legs, a woman's legs. They disappear. Jess moves closer to the mirror. The image shifts. She sees a pair of feet. Then she reaches out, touching the glass. The reflection does the same, except her hand seems distorted. Jess gasps as the reflection moves on its own, walking forward and then vanishing. The mirror is now fogging up. The air in the room cools. As the reflection reappears, it begins to move faster, walking backward and mimicking Jess's movements. The reflection's face appears contorted and pale. Jess screams and retreats. The reflection stops moving and stands still, staring at Jess. She watches as the reflection's mouth opens wide in a silent scream. Then it disappears. Jess drops her bat, runs to the door, and bursts out of the room. She bumps into someone. The person is holding a stack of Jess's books. Startled, Jess asks, "What are you doing here?" The person is the landlord. He apologizes for not knocking and asks if she needs anything else from downstairs. Jess shakes her head. The landlord leaves. Once he's gone, Jess runs to the mirror room. The books in her arms fall to the ground, scattering. Jess throws open the door, rushes to the mirror and slaps it. "Let me out," she yells. She pounds on the glass. Then, noticing something, she presses her forehead against the mirror. On the other side, she sees herself trapped on the other side of the glass, struggling to push it open from the outside. But Jess in the real world can't push the mirror open. The reflection collapses, the mirror rippling, and fades away. Jess falls to her knees, sobbing. The room is growing darker. The wind is picking up. The curtains blow wildly. The mirror begins to glow. Jess cries out, scrambling away. Standing, she sprints for the door, escaping into the hallway. She runs into her bathroom, locking the door. She leans against it, panting. She hears chains, dragging metal moans. Then she sees the doorknob begin to turn. "Se screams." As we pan down to the hallway, the doorknob falls off its hinges. It's now completely dark. From within the bathroom, Jess cries out, "Help me." Fade out. Now we see the mirror room. The mirror is glowing brighter. The door is swinging open on its own. The chains drag closer, and suddenly the lights come on. Standing in the doorway is the mirror woman. She's wearing Jess's clothes, specifically Jess's pajamas from the beginning of the film. The mirror woman smiles and steps through the door. She gazes at her reflection, smiling even wider. She looks directly at the camera. The episode ends. Fade in. Int. Apartment on. The mirror woman stands at the window, watching the sunrise. Behind the mirror, Jess's real face stares out. The room grows cold and dark. The wind blows through the window. The curtains blow wildly as the mirror woman continues to smile serenely. Fade to black. Credits roll. I hope you enjoyed my little breakdown of the mirror room. I had to write this script very quickly. Otherwise, I would have been writing all day and I didn't want that. So I'm curious, did you pick up on the fact that this story was based off of the Baba Yaga? I mean, the mirror is obviously a Baba Yaga-inspired element. That's why I think it was important that Jess liked looking at herself in the mirror, which is why the mirror was so important to her and why it is such a horrible thing to lose your reflection. But what do you think? Am I totally off base, or do you see what I'm seeing? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're at it, leave a comment saying what you thought about the series overall. What did you like? What did you dislike? Did you enjoy the acting? What about the lighting or the cinematography? We want to hear everything.